Update now as we work to find out how a Prince George's County husband and father ended up in an El Salvador prison. We can confirm to you tonight, KILMAR ABREGO-GARCIA is a Salvadoran national with protected legal status. On March 12th, law enforcement arrested him for allegedly being a member of the MS-13 gang, though he does deny his involvement. On Monday, an acting field office director for ICE said Garcia's deportation was a mistake, and it was caused by what they're calling an administrative error. In the last hour, our Matt Gregory spoke to an attorney to help explain how this all could have happened. He is live outside of her office in Virginia. Matt, an administrative error is a big oops, to put it mildly. What have you learned?
Yeah, just talking with her and going through the court documents and the filings, we found that right now the Department of Homeland Security, the Trump administration, is not explaining how this error happened. In the meantime, the family of KILMAR ABREGO-GARCIA has filed a lawsuit in federal court and restraining orders. But right now, ABREGO-GARCIA is in an El Salvadoran prison. And according to the attorney we just talked to, El Salvador is under no obligation to fix the U.S.'s error. But we'll take you through how this process started because it is a bit of a lengthy one. Starting on March 12th, that's when this all began. Court documents say ICE agents pulled KILMAR ABREGO-GARCIA over in Prince George's County. Now, the reason for detaining him, like you heard Simone say, officials say someone accused ABREGO-GARCIA of gang involvement back in 2019. But I want to go and stress that within the documents, there are no crimes or arrests associated with that claim. In fact, a judge at the time offered what's called a stay on an order to deport, saying basically ABREGO-GARCIA would have his day in court before anyone could deport him. But in this case, despite no crimes, without a court date, and married to a U.S. citizen and fathering a U.S. child, ICE agents deported him in late March. You're seeing images of him in an El Salvadoran prison for terrorists. Now, his family has filed suit against the U.S. government to bring him back. Since then, the Department of Homeland Security has admitted his removal was an administrative error. However, an immigration lawyer just told me, despite this mistake, the U.S. government can't just bring him back now.
However, there is a jurisdictional issue there because he is a Salvadoran national. And the Salvadoran government has, by taking him into that detention center, will likely argue that they believe he's a gang member and say, we are not returning him anywhere. He's technically ours and ours to keep.
Yeah, now at the same time in those court filings, his family has said tragically, if he stays in this prison, they believe he will be tortured and likely could die in the prison. On the government's behalf, their claim of this gang membership, attorneys, at least in court yesterday, were saying that the Board of Immigration Appeals upheld this idea that he was involved in gangs. However, like I said, this was all produced by a confidential informant and was never actually tried in court or offered as evidence in court, just an anonymous or rather confidential claim. Now, this will all go to a head tomorrow in court as they continue, the family does, to file court orders trying to do anything to bring him back. We'll have much more coming up at 5, including a statement from Maryland lawmakers in the Senate who have strong words for the Trump administration. In Virginia, I'm Matt Gregory, back to you.
You certainly feel for the family who are trying to battle the courts, the legal field here, trying to unwind what has been done, now having to do it across international borders. Matt, keep us updated, please, on anything that comes from this. Thank you.